Spare me the propaganda of another war. It's just the same propaganda on both sides. I mean, see through it by now. We've just had a couple of years of it in Eastern Europe, and we can see, and it does take ages to see what they're saying to you at the start, and then a couple of years later, how much they've progressed. And obviously, one side's going to play down certain things and exaggerate other things and lie, and the other side's going to do the exact same, but the other way around. So you just take both sides with a pinch of salt, and then roughly find out what's happening. Forget that nonsense. We had it with Eastern Europe there. They're still getting it, and the Russians, or one side, made massive advances and inroads in a very short period of time, and then nothing has moved in over 18 months or more. You can see it in the map, just using this as an example before you start going, oh, Mariupol and Kiev and all this, right? The map's not moved, it's barely moved. It's probably moved a couple of feet this way and a couple of feet that way in certain places. And then this wee tiny bit over here has went down a good couple of feet, and then a good couple of, and that's all that's happened in over there on the map in terms of what they're actually trying to do. And this is going to be the same. And I've just seen the other side's propaganda. So I'm not picking sides, because you don't pick sides in a war as a non-partisan. We just do not fund or support either side, and that's the way all is as it should be. We've started to see more propaganda, and it's just nonsense, because you're just going to get, no, listen, we're losing, but we're winning, and we're not winning as much as we should be, so we're going to pretend that it's over. Forget that nonsense, guys. They're just using the exact same stuff they've used on you for the last couple of years, and you're off on for it again. On both sides. That's how you don't take sides, guys. Rise above that nonsense. We had it in Scotland with the Scottish separation referendum, and we had Project Fear, they called it. So for the English people, Project Fear was basically all the big companies, Tunnock's Tea Cakes, they're the biggest company in Scotland by the way, and others turning around and saying that we're unable to basically to manage ourselves, yeah, and we need to attach ourselves to a collection of other smaller nations to continue to have success, which is obviously nonsense. I'm not a supporter of separation. I'm just saying it's obviously nonsense. Norway can do it, Denmark does it, Iceland does it, and they've got less than a quarter of the population of Glasgow, so right, it's obvious nonsense. So what really woke me up was a couple of months later for Project Fear Part 2, when they said that Britain, the same arguments they had for Scotland separating, they had the same arguments for, they never even changed them. All they changed was Scotland, Britain. They just scribbled out the word Scotland and penciled in Great Britain, United Kingdom. That's all they did. That's all they done. So all of a sudden we've seen the same people that were arguing with the Labour, the Tories, the Lib Dems, the Lib Lab con, which obviously now is a Lib Lab Green SNP con. Don't vote for any big parties. Don't not vote either. If you're going to not vote, turn up and spoil your ballot. Do not just don't ignore it, because as all use common law gurus will tell me in a second in the comments, that is a tacit agreement. So you're still acquiescing, except you're acquiescing more. At least you're turning up and showing a disdain. And if enough of you did that, if more people turned up and spoiled their ballots than actually voting for somebody, you would actually fold democracy. You would prorogue all the parliament, and then they would actually create a new system. But we're miles away from 20 odd million, 14 million, 16 million people not voting at once. So right now, until we get to that point, do not sit at home, guys. Turn up and vote for anybody but the Lib Lab Green SNP con. and then you're doing no bad. You're doing no bad because you're just voting these guys we don't want in. To finish my point, Project Fear Part 2, with Scottish separation, they had these arguments and they just wheeled them right onto Europe. Britain's too small to survive. Britain's too silly to govern its own affairs. The people are all spent, we're all decadent, we've all went to the New World, we're all in Canada, New Zealand and America, which is obviously nonsense. We are still here. We actually did vote to leave the EU. The rest of the countries are doing the same. So my point is, guys, do not let emotional advertisement capture your consciousness. Don't do it, guys. You know better. You actively point out the other side, whatever side you're on, right? You actively can comment at running commentary and decipher every single flaw in your opponent, and your opponent can basically do that to you as well. But yous are still stuck in the schism. Yous are only using half a brain. You're still using either the left part or the right part instead of using the full thing. If we can apply that into everything, we could really make this shift faster. I do believe 51% of people are awake. Now, they might not be as awake as you or I would like them to be, but they're awake enough to mobilise. Now, if we keep having chats like this, instead of just, it's them over there, or it's them over there, or it's him and her, just think about what you're doing, where you're seeing your information. For example, George Galloway, right, used to be very much on the ball, on the button, all the time. He was great. For the last couple of years, since March 2020, where I first noticed it, he's went off the boil. Now, the guy's not invincible. There is a guy there's a few Scottish people still living that have actually defeated that man in a debate. There's no many. I can only think of one, and obviously they're all Scottish, of course, and that's just the way it is. But he's been off the boil since around March 2020, when he was asking the government to lock us down harder. Some say that he's retracted that. Obviously, he's too smart to keep that nonsense up, isn't he? But why would such a smart guy ever come out with that to begin with? That baffled me. I couldn't shake his hand when he came up to Glasgow and he was standing this distance from me. Used to think the guy was a hero. I couldn't do it. So, in the start of this Eastern European special military operation, they says that a guy, Gonzalo Lira, who I used to watch all the time, he was great, had died, and it was untrue. And George Galloway had reported this, and he'd reported it, and he got that information without checking it from another guy that's constantly just sending out clickbait nonsense to the beleaguered masses, Scott Ritter. And it turned out that Gonzalo Lira was still alive, and it was just nonsense. And then Gonzalo ended up going on George's show about 10 days later, like, hi George, I'm not dead George, I'm on your radio show George. So just be careful, guys, of these people that you trust, because everybody watches, we're all in our different wee pockets and ducats and pigeonholes, and we're watching guys that we like who have usually got 88% of the same biases that we have, right? So just be careful with that. And if you need to limit your exposure to guys, give guys a break, whatever, stay off the news or your cycle completely, do it. But always expose yourself to new information that challenges your point of view, because it's quite painful now to see people just fall. It's really clever people that are super intelligent, super courageous, and that can change their mind, by the way, because having a conversation with them is beautiful. But I still see a lot of people stuck on this, where they're going to go through another Project Fear cycle, and it's like, nah, come on, right? We can all see by that now. Enough.